Good morning, everyone. We're at Tuesday morning. We're now just over a day away from the biggest game in however long you want to say for Celtic. The consensus is it's the biggest game of the season. Certainly, a lot of people going further back than that, certainly in a European context. Regardless, Tony, it's a big one. We're here to chat a bit more about it and discuss the other things that are happening. How are things with you?
Great. If ever you wished a Champions League game was on a Tuesday, it's tonight, isn't it? You just want to get it on and get it done. But biggest game since 2007, I said, Hamish. The San Siro 2007, when Kaka's extra time goal prevented Celtic from going into the Champions League quarter-final, a stage they haven't reached since 1980 Real Madrid. Put them out 3-2 in aggregate for those of us who are older and remember these things. So that's for me is huge. Other people reminding me that Celtic got to the knockout stage under Neil Lennon, but Juventus cuffed them 5-0, didn't they? It was never really a contest. So, but that 2007 under Gordon Strachan in the San Siro, it was a contest. Celtic were one goal away from making the last 8 of the Champions League. So I think it's the biggest European game since then. Certainly the biggest of the season. And in fact, I've not even said it's big. I wrote an article yesterday. If you want to have a look at it, stir the blood, stir the senses. I've called it gargantuan. So there you go. It's in there in the comment section. You want to have a read at that, guys. You'll get what I'm talking about. Get a wee flavour for that. So that's how big it is, Hamish. It's huge.
Yeah, we're getting further and further back. I think I'm waiting on someone saying it's the biggest game since '67. That's when we'll know we've gone crazy about this. But no, I mean it's clearly a big opportunity for the team tomorrow night, and I personally think it's an opportunity they're going to take. I think that's maybe what's a little bit different about such a big European match or Champions League match is that I think a lot of us have a lot of faith in Celtic, and to be honest, it's really a game we should be winning when you look at the form of young boys, both domestically and so far in Europe this season. So, not feeling good about it. We'll get on and discuss that. Morning, everyone. How are you all? Lovely to have you with us. I sense it's going to be a pretty busy video today. We had the Scottish Cup draw last night. Just first of all, should mention this, Tony. We've been given drawn at home to Raith Rovers in the last 16. Is that the 5th round, I think?
Yeah, 5th round.
So Barry Robson's Raith Rovers as well. It's a home draw, which is kind of home draw against lower league opposition is kind of all you can ask for. So clearly we're going to be pretty big favourites for that one.
Yeah, correct. I think Celtic will cope with that challenge okay, but you remember when Falkirk came in the League Cup, so you don't underestimate anybody, and those who will not like being pointed out that Celtic and Raith Rovers bring back horrible memories of the Coca-Cola League Cup final in the bad old 90s when Paul McStay missed a penalty at Ibrox and Raith walked off with the trophy. So, yeah, bit of history there involving Celtic and Raith Rovers, but yeah, I'm pretty confident that Celtic can see off Barry Robson's team when that comes around, and we'll look forward to that then. But yeah, everything's just premised on this, isn't it? Tomorrow night, it's just such a huge game, and I agree with you. I think Celtic will be able to see young boys off. It's not overconfidence, it's not gallousness, it's not a swagger. I just look at their form as well, and I speak for myself in this, but I thought Celtic played really well on Saturday. And I think all that was missing was the killer touch, that clinical touch in front of goal. And I said it on the after-match briefing that if those opportunities present themselves to Celtic against young boys, going to have to take them. It's the end of story. And I think that Celtic can create those kind of opportunities against young boys. And I'm looking forward to see how that pans out.
I think, you'd look at our Champions League campaign so far and you'd probably say we have been pretty clinical when we've got our chances. Like, it's 5 goals against Slovan Bratislava, 3 against Leipzig. Club Brugge, we didn't create a whole lot and still scored through that Dyson Maeda terrific goal. And even Dortmund didn't really create much and managed to get in the score sheet there. I think I'm forgetting a game somewhere. We've had a couple of 0-0s, haven't we? So, I think we actually have been quite clinical, especially at Celtic Park. So hoping that continues. Listen, I agree with you. The weekend was an interesting one because some people came away from it feeling, worse about the team, and some people came away probably feeling a lot better about the team. And I was one of the latter. I really enjoyed it as a game. I thought it was good to see Celtic Park looking really full and genuinely full as well, with it being a cup game, not in the season ticket. I thought the atmosphere was good. I thought Kelly came out more than I thought they would, and I thought it made for a really good game. And I thought we played a lot of really good stuff. And some of the players that there have been question marks over recently, for various reasons, the likes of Tati and Austin Trusty, and even guys like Nicholas Kuhn, who have just not for reasons of form, but just had some injury issues, and Dyson Maida. I thought all of those guys played really well, and I think that's really exciting as we now go into what is such a huge game. So I just think I feel quite good about our chances, but clearly you don't have to go too far back, right to the start of this calendar year, to have a game when we all felt really good about our chances, and we're up against a team in a bit of crisis, and we all know how that went in the derby. So clearly, we need to bring our A game here to win this game. But Brendan Rodgers was saying that yesterday. He was saying, at this level, you can't take anything for granted. Everyone thinks young boys are struggling, looking bad, but we need to bring a certain level. And to me, that's the question for me. Can Celtic bring close to our A game to this match? And I think it's very possible after what I saw on Saturday.
Against RB Leipzig, everyone came away and said, and the manager agreed as well, said it was a generational game. You're looking for a similar type of display, Hamish, because it's in this team. And I've said for a while, you just need to canvass any supporter, and players are human as well. They have been looking forward to this game so much. This is something that the focus of attention has been on for quite some time. I know you say it's the next game, one game at a time, and you trot out all that cliche stuff, and it's true, but you cannot escape the fact that this game's been on the players' minds for a while. And there's been that, and when Celtic were playing well and at their peak, the Champions League campaign was running concurrently with, the season. And when those games stopped, those high-intensity matches stopped, and I never use the word complacency because I don't think players consciously are complacent, but they were that far ahead in the title race, and then those high-intensity games that were running alongside the calendar stopped. There was a noticeable drop-off with Celtic in terms of performance and intensity. And it's no coincidence, I don't think. And then I think on Saturday, it's no coincidence where I think a lot of us thought they got their mojo back, because they could have been 4 or 5 up at half-time in this game.
It was a game of consequence on Saturday.
Yeah, correct, yes. And furthermore, there's a game of massive consequence coming up, which is the next game. So I don't think these things are coincidence, for me anyway. And I think the attitude from the Celtic players and the manager for this match will be spot on. And you will see that high level, that intensity, high octane performance from Celtic, because players are human. These are the nights that flick your switch and float the ball. See, if you're Nicholas Kuhn, all you have to say to Nicholas Kuhn is, you want to play for Germany. This is the game where you'll get noticed and you'll get your international call-up. Go and be a star like you were against Leipzig. After that game, the German manager was asked a question. He said he was on the radar. Make his next international team selection one that you can't be afford to miss out on. Answer the question. Just say, Nicholas Kuhn, these are the games where you'll get your dream to play for your country. No, that's it. No other team talk required. Do your thing, Nicholas Kuhn. Stuff like that. So these are the games where guys really can. It's a massive stage, huge stage, and it is. See if Celtic can get through the playoff round, Hamish, given our European record in the decade that's preceded it. I think it's a wonderful achievement, and it's one that the manager signposted from the moment he came in for his second term. Domestic dominance is great. I want to do something in Europe.
Yeah, and the other thing I think, and obviously I hope we do it tomorrow night and make the top 24, but I think the narrative, and a lot of it might come from other fans and parts of the media, and I guess it doesn't matter as much as what we all think, but I think the narrative might become, oh, Celtic should probably be doing this with the fixtures that we had. But I think the reality, looking back at it, and I remember doing these videos in the summer, and I remember it clearly, a lot of people in the comments, viewers in the comments, saying that we're miles away from qualifying for the post league phase, the knockout rounds. That's how people felt. So I think it's a huge compliment to this team that they've managed to take 9 points from the first 6 matches and have us clearly ahead of schedule. I think if we looked at the campaign at the start, I was maybe thinking we'd be in 7 points at this stage as a kind of best case scenario, potentially. Looking at the fixtures we had and give us a chance to win and get to the 10 points we think will be needed. The reality is that a draw might be good enough tomorrow to get us to that 10 points. But I certainly feel this. I think a lot of people feel that tomorrow's a game we want to go and win, and we need to go and win. It needs to be a big moment for this team, because I think Celtic have been brilliant in the Champions League so far this season. I just think since Leipzig, we've not quite hit that level, and I don't want us to view that Leipzig game and the Atalanta game before it. I don't want us to kind of view them as like that was as good as it got, because I think the last couple of games, Club Brugge and Zagreb, we've done well to avoid defeat, and it's to the team's credit that they've avoided defeat. But I don't think either performance was great at all. So I think the team, for me, just to really kind of underline their credentials at this level, go and win well tomorrow night, and you then have 3 solid examples of Celtic flourishing at Champions League level, plus the other games. And the only game we've been totally outclassed in was clearly Dortmund. So that's the message for me. A draw might be good enough. Go and win well tomorrow as well. Really go and put a statement out and go and win comfortably. Do what you did to Bratislava. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I genuinely think if Celtic turn up at their top level, it's a game we can win by a few goals.
Yeah. I'm not accepting a draw, Hamish. I'm going to always gun blazing, and to you, as you say, to do what they did to Slovan Bratislava and Leipzig if possible. But it's the learnings for me, Hamish, because when they get crushed 7-1 by Dortmund, that was it. The campaign was knackered because they were going to Bergamo next to play Atalanta, and they were written off. And the manager took his medicine that night and said, we will learn. And they have learned. They go to Atalanta or Bergamo and get a 0-0 against the Europa League holders, champions. Excellent performance, and then it's just gradually got better. And then in the 2 0-0s, which were there for the taking, or the 2 draws,
1-1 and 0-0.
Yeah, both of those matches were there for the taking. But as I said before, Celtic teams in the decade previously in Europe would have lost both of those games. And so the manager said they're learning to play at this level. If you can't win it, don't lose it. So that was the learnings for me, especially the way they bounced back from the Dortmund doing, when everybody thought, they didn't think this team was capable of being ripped apart like that. But they were, and they did get ripped apart. But for me, Celtic have grown in the Champions League because the manager told you they were going to grow, they were going to learn how to play at this level. And he said that to get through to the knockout playoff round would be a huge step for a Scottish team. It is a huge step for a Scottish team. And Celtic are 90 minutes away from taking that step. And they have to play young boys of Bern who are not in any shape or form produced anything in this tournament. See if you'd have given me that scenario at the start and you could qualify for the playoff round with a game to spare, and then you can go and play a Battle of Britain against Aston Villa and really enjoy the occasion, and then test yourself and see what happens. It's all about tomorrow night. Focus on winning. And I'm like you. I think Celtic can win this well. And as I say, it's not overconfidence, it's not arrogance. It's just, I think if they approach it in that manner, and again, I go back to Hamish and you say as well, crowd have got a massive part to play in this too. It has to be one of those nights where everybody's like, I was there or whatever, and do their thing and just be singing from the same hymn sheet in unison, the manager, the players, the crowd, because there are fewer better arenas in European football when everything comes together on nights like that.
Yeah, the fans have a huge role to play, and I'm not just talking for the Champions League anthem before the match. Once the match starts, get the whole stadium right behind the team, because it's a big effort from everyone. I think tomorrow, like we're on. It might not feel like it because in recent months there's been like a fair bit of negativity, I would say, and some of it's been merited. But we're kind of living through incredible times when you think about it, and that we've already won the League Cup. We're going to win the league, and we've got Raith Rovers to get through at the quarterfinals. So you're effectively maybe 3 cup games away from winning another treble, and on top of that, the thing that we've wanted for a decade at least is it seems like ever, is progress in Europe, and we're getting that as well. Like, we are witnessing an incredible season, and I know, as I say, in recent months it's not been quite as plain sailing as it was at the start. We've still only domestically not won 3 matches, Ibrox, and a couple of games in Dundee that we drew. But I think we're on the cusp of something I think really, really special, and we can do that on Wednesday night. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. I guess Young Boys would be similar level to Slovan Bratislava if you look at the league table, and they are clearly the league table shows they are the 2 poorest teams.
Yeah.
By a fair bit. I think Leipzig are obviously the other team with no points. They're in a tough position because they're clearly a lot better than their position suggests. But Bratislava turned up and we gave them respect. That's the thing I loved about Celtic. We gave them respect, brought our A game, and our A game was far too good for them. That's why I think if we do the exact same tomorrow, give Young Boys all the respect they deserve. They're Swiss champions. They beat Galatasaray in qualifying. But then when the game starts, obviously give them respect, but also make them feel really uncomfortable and make them feel like a team that are 9th in their domestic league. And I think if we do that, I feel really good.
My only concern is they're a dangerous opponent because they are well out of it. There is nothing allegedly at stake. And see, when you can relax and just play football in an arena such as Celtic Park, that can conversely bring out the best in them. That's my only...
Do you think not finishing bottom, that's a bit of pressure though, isn't it? The fact that they're going to finishing bottom's embarrassing.
And also as well, there's £3 million for a win, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're the Young Boys directors, you're saying to those players, listen, £3 million up for grabs. How about we give you players a pot of X amount of dough to go to an arena like Celtic Park and win? And, you ask any player now, what motivates them? Money certainly motivates them. So I can't speak for the Young Boys directors, but if I'm one of the Young Boys directors, that's what I'm saying. Look, go here. You're going to go out on centre stage here, so you may as well get yourself a wee bit of lolly for that process. So I just think that you need to cover all bases. This is going to be a very dangerous opponent in terms of the sense that they're here to knacker up your plans and put a real spanner in your qualification works. Don't let them.
Yeah.
Whatever they're playing for, match it. And then some. And then, if you can, produce something special. But that's all we ask because, they do, on paper, they have nothing to play for, but every footballer will tell you there's never nothing to play for, whether it be pride, whether it be money, whether it be just the fact that they're playing in a wonderful setting.
Yeah. I mean, they'll still have quality. That's the thing. Every Champions League team has some level of quality, and even if you're struggling for form, what does they say? Form is temporary, class is permanent. Like they will have quality. So we can't afford to give them opportunities because clearly they'll have more quality than virtually every Scottish team that we play. My issue is, or not my issue, but looking at them, they have seemed to fold in a lot of games. Like big defeats here so far. Aston Villa beat them 3-0 in Bern. They lost 5-0 away to Barca. Fair enough, it's Barcelona, but still. Atalanta put 6 past them, 6-1 in Bern. And even in their last game, they took the lead against Stuttgart and ended up losing that 5-1. So I know they've changed manager since then. Giorgio Contini's come in. He's been in for a couple of months. However, the 0-0 draw with bottom of the league Winterthur was his first competitive game because obviously they shut down over Christmas. But so they might be different under a new manager. It didn't seem like they got a bounce at the weekend. But I do wonder, looking certainly at that group of players, if we get an early goal, I wonder how much hunger is in it for them to get back in. And the recent results would suggest at this level they do tend to fold.
It's all premised on what Celtic do, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I really don't care what they do, but you've just pointed out there's a fragility there amongst them. So set about them and get that tempo, get the crowd, everybody involved. Because see, when everybody's involved and you're invested in the match, you just feel that there's a will there, and there's other forces at play that help you win matches, these kind of matches sometimes. But I just think it's set up for Celtic to have another one of those brilliant nights. And if you'd asked me who to play in order to achieve that, I would have picked this tie. This is the one I would have picked. So we're saying all these things for a reason. I think one of the commenters says he was sensing negativity. I'm not negative in any shape or form. I
cannot possibly be about us, Tony.
We're just pointing out, Maestro 95.
It must be blame the viewers.
I'm not thinking of anything other than a win. And I think Celtic are well capable of winning. And I think they're capable of winning comfortably and handsomely tomorrow.
Yeah. But bring your level. Don't go into the game assuming anything.
Yeah, but you have to bring that A game, that level. Of course, you have to just make it one of those uncomfortable nights for the opposition. Who, if you can score early, then be great. That would just set everything off, and you can enjoy the night. So, and the manager, to me, he's all over this. Has been for some time. It's been occupying his mind.
He's been waiting for this, hasn't he? His whole time at the club, even his first spell, he was unable to get us into a position where we can qualify for the knockouts.
This is Brendan Rodgers' Celtic date with European destiny. He's always spoken about new heroes and creating your own history. This is a chance to do that with the club that he's always said he supported and he's wanted to take them back to that kind of level. Go and do it. That's all we have. It doesn't matter how you do it, but just go and win this football match. And, come Thursday morning, we could all feel really proud about this club and where they're at and what they've achieved. And I think the players will feel the benefit of that, Hamish, if they do. And I think they'll kick on again and recapture that early season form, because it has been there in the back of their minds. I don't care what anybody says. It's been there, because as ask any supporter, they'll tell you it's been there in the back of their minds as well.
But I think the European games at the start of the season were like markers for the team.
Yeah.
And they were games for the team really to kind of get themselves ready for. And it wasn't like they took their eye off the ball domestically, because famously our domestic form was so good. But I just think those Champions League games, and it was the same with the support, they were the ones you looked out for. They just gave, there was like an energy was running through the whole club. And then you finished that, and the last couple of months you've just had league games, and just by its very nature, it's become quite monotonous, because there's been games every few days, and they've all felt, I don't know about you, Tony, but they all kind of blend into one for me. Like I look back at some of the games, it feels like we've had 1 million home games over the past 6 weeks, and that's how I feel as a fan. So the players must feel something similar, whereas clearly tomorrow night and next week at Villa Park are games that they'll have looked out for. Right, we'll go through a few comments. Martin, for me, the gaffer will let them know what's at stake. Listen, Hamish, a draw against Atalanta and Blue Leipzig out the water. Stop being over-analytic about this. We will win, and easily. Martin, it's my job to analyse things. I don't mind the confidence, though. Win and easily. Henry McClassen wondering how their form's been since they changed manager. Yeah, they played some kind of mid-season friendlies, but one game, bottom of the league, they played and they drew 0-0. I think they missed a lot of chances, which reminds me of a certain other team at the weekend. So that might be interesting. Wazza boy, what changes to the side that faced Kilmarnock would you make ahead of the young boys? Well, I'm no changes. I would actually go with the same team.
I think the manager will go with the same team that started against Kilmarnock. That's my spoiler.
John thought McCowan might come in.
For who? Hatate? Possible. But he just prefers Hatate in European games, doesn't he?
I think so.
For whatever reason. Listen, I wouldn't argue with that, but I think the team that took to the park against Kilmarnock was the team that he felt. And bearing in mind that first half was pretty good against Kilmarnock, and they should have been 4 or 5 ahead. So I think he'll be hoping for the same kind of reaction. And even there was a return to form for me for Cal Mack, who against Kilmarnock, I put in my predicted 11s that I would have arrested him for that, but so, and there's lots of murmurings about him suffering a loss of form and stuff. Not that high bar that he'd hit consistently throughout his career. He was dropping below, but he was excellent on Saturday for me. Brilliant goal as well. 7th of the season from outside the box. He's clearly feeling as confident as ever. Every time he gets the ball in that kind of range, he's thinking, I'm having it. And if you give him space and time, that's what happens.
Fancy him for one tomorrow night? A wee long ranger tomorrow?
It's the same space and time, Hamish. He'll do it.
Yeah. And he goes through runs, I think, of getting quite confident.
And I think as well, I think he'll actually have a couple of digs tomorrow because he is feeling confident and his last one ended up in the back of the net, so he's hoping he can do it. Again, you don't care who scores, but when I think he was coming in from some unnecessary criticism, I just said I would have rotated him. Nothing to do with his form. I just wanted to see. I wanted Bernardo, Engels, and McCowan in the midfield, but you're certainly not dropping your captain or rotating your captain in a Champions League match.
Yeah. So, on a similar note, Robert, and you probably just answered this, asking what is our best midfield three, and for me, clearly McGregor is always going to be in there. I think Engels is in there, and then it's a bit of a toss up for me.
Yeah,
I find the Hatate stuff really difficult to analyze or over analyze, maybe, because you look at him, his top level we've found this season has been excellent, but he's just not consistent enough. And like going into the game tomorrow, you have no idea what Reo Hatate you're going to see if he starts. It could be the Reo Hatate from Leipzig where he's this star for us and everyone's raving about him after the game. Equally, it could be the Reo Hatate from Ibrox where he's just giving the ball away and causing us so many issues. So it's a really difficult one for the manager. And then you also look at someone like Luke McCowan and you kind of know what you're going to get from Luke McCowan. And you would probably argue, I would argue certainly, that McCowan's top level isn't as high as Hatate's top level, but he's far more consistent.
Yeah.
Luke McCowan, and you've also got Paulo Bernardo as well, though he, is maybe better suited to games where you're up against it a wee bit more. So it's a tough one in that midfield.
I think he'll be on the front foot like Saturday. I think it'll be a similar type of game to Saturday where you'll have a lot of the ball, which is why I think Engels, Kalmack and Reo Hatate will be, because I think they'll be given license to roam and be creative and try and feed the wingers, who in turn will try and feed Kyogo. So I think that's, if you wanted to bring in Luke McCowan for Hatate to do that, then I've no qualms about him doing that. I think Bernardo, you don't need the kind of, I don't think you need two sitters, no for a game like that, you know what I mean? So I just think Bernardo loses out in that sense because he's more of a defensive line midfielder at times, isn't he? Although he can get forward himself and score and is quite creative. But I just think the template for me was Saturday when he played that team. I just thought that'll be the team that starts against young boys. I could be wrong in that, but I don't think it'll deviate too much from it, to be honest.
Because he made a comment, and I keep thinking I'm going to find this comment, but I've not done it yet. But he made a comment at Friday's press conference where he spoke about the gap between the Dundee game at Dens, the Kelly game at the weekend, and the Young Boys game. And he said, it's quite spaced out. I think it's over 8 or 9 days. And that gives him an opportunity to basically reset things between matches. So I took it from that. I just thought he was hinting a little bit that he might go with the same team. I think the manager thinks that's his best team when it comes to European games. Greg Taylor starts the European games if he's fit in the main. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hatate's virtually always in the team for the European games. So I think that's what he'll go for. And for me, those are the only arguments you could have. I think every other position is pretty nailed on. I mean, Kyogo definitely starts. Could do a big night from Kyogo, really big night, like he gave us last season, because I don't know if he scored in the Champions League. this season, has he?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say no. But
did he score against Bratislava? Can't remember.
Don't think he did.
He might have scored at the back post from, was it maybe Kuhn's one from the second or third goal? Anyway, we could do a big night from him, and if you get that chance, be the ruthless clinical Kyogo that we love.
Yeah, and he started to come back, find a bit of form as well. Last few games, Ross County was very good. He was very good on Saturday as well. So
that chance he gets on Saturday, if he gets that tomorrow, take it. Don't put it past the door.
Yeah, listen to that. But he's been doing that all season.
Yeah.
Hasn't he? So I'd be more concerned if they weren't creating chances, Hamish. But they are creating, and they went in against Ross County. They didn't go in against Kilmarnock, but he was still involved and he's still contributing. And I don't like him missing sitters, but I get it. But and it causes more anxiety than it probably should in the stadium when that happens. But yeah, his Champions League record's not been great in terms of scoring, so it'd be nice for him to just kind of relax on it and bulge the net. But again, I don't care who bulges the net, but I like to see Kyogo bulge the net because he's a striker and he loves to score goals. So a lot of that's to do with the service he gets as well. But certainly the last few games, he's been busy and he's been productive and he's been involved. So I'm happy with that.
Right, Patrick, fans need to stay patient, keep the decibel level up all game. I think we will do it. Alan saying if Celtic turn up on Wednesday, don't panic or freeze, they'll get the 3 points. Talking about the weekend, Bobby saying it was an enjoyable game to watch. The flow of our game was back to normal. I couldn't care less about the missed chances and a win. And Hazel saying if we don't turn up tomorrow night, we don't deserve to be there. I can't see Brendan Rodgers allowing that to happen, to be honest. The 12th man needs to turn up to Koibig. Coming you boys in green. Okay, Tony, I'm getting excited now. I mean, it's a big game, but it's all there for the team as well. And just imagine we win and know we're going to be playing knockout football. We'll have a two-legged tie to look forward to. That would be so exciting.
And not to get too far ahead, but I mean, imagine you get what you perceive to be a doable two-legged tie, right? If you get there, I mean, that's you then start to. The mind goes into overdrive, but
where is the final this year?
You trust this group of players and the manager, and that's the thing. Football's for the dreamers, Hamish. It's for the eternal optimists and the dreamers. The manager's had a dream to make Celtic a noise in Europe again. He's 90 minutes away from that noise reaching a crescendo. That's how big this is. That's what I mean by gargantuan. It's such a huge match for Celtic, and as I say, You'll hear the supporters because it'll be the loudest roar over the 2 nights of Champions League football if Celtic get through the knockout phase, the other playoff round, sorry. And I don't care what Andy says, for a Scottish team to do that, I think it'd be a remarkable and wonderful achievement when you consider Celtic's record in Europe previous to this season and the way we've been, it's been used as a stick to beat us over the head with. And quite rightly so, because it has been pretty poor. But, and legacy is important to the manager. So he wants to sort of make Celtic this team, not just one season, flash in the pan. Ange Postecoglou talked about it as well, but make you regular contributors and do this on a regular basis. You've got to start somewhere. So start this season, get to the playoff round, take it from there, see where it takes you. And then repeatedly qualify and hopefully do that. So that's the start. That's what we're aiming for tomorrow night. To announce Celtic back in the big stage and prove that they're a Champions League team and they are back where they belong.
Okay, I'm suitably up for the game now, and we've still got a day and a half until kick-off. We will return this time tomorrow to really get you going for the game. We'll have press conferences later today, obviously coverage of that on celticway.co.uk. As I say, we'll return on the YouTube as well. Plenty of videos coming out between now and the game, and obviously coverage of the game tomorrow night as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll head off for now and catch you all very soon.